Hi everyone, this is Micaela Luis C. Alabado and I am a Customs Administration student. So in this video presentation, I'm going to discuss the CMO number 22 series of 2010 Glossary of Terms and Annexes only. So now I'm going to share the objective in this. So the objective for this video is to be able to understand the glossary of terms and annexes in CM number 22 series of 2010. So let's proceed. Let's go ahead to the glossary. Glossary of terms, I mean. So when we say glossary, what comes into your mind? Yes, I know it's the same thing in our books. At the back of our books, there are a lot of words in there with their definitions. So same thing goes with this. We have like terms here in customs and we don't know they are the same words outside, but they have different meaning in this field. So let's go ahead and learn and understand the different meanings of this. So ballast. It is a heavy cargo which is loaded on board a vessel or aircraft merely for the purpose of making it steady to enable it to navigate in the event of scarcity of other cargo. When not brought to port as article, ballast of no commercial value may be discharged upon permit granted by the collector of customs for such purpose. It is mentioned in section 35 of this manual. Next is the berth. Berth is a part of a pier wharf that is occupied by a vessel or any place in which a vessel may lie at anchor or at a dock. So it is mentioned in section 4 and 7 of this manual. So this is what the berth looks like. And bill of lading. When you hear the word bill of lading, it refers to, it is a transport document. It refers to a document and not an action. So for ocean freight issued by shipping lines, carriers, and international freight forwarders or non-vessel operating common carrier, it is mentioned in section 15 and 20 of this manual. And bond. It is an instrument designed chiefly to guarantee the integrity and honesty of the principal, his ability, financial responsibility, and his compliance with law or contact a guarantee of performance. It is an agreement whereby one party, called the surety, obligates itself to a second party, called the obligee, to answer for the default of a third party, called the principal. It is mentioned in section 16 and 32 of this manual. So let's proceed. When we say break bulk, it is non-containerized cargo which is grouped or consolidated for shipment and broken down or subdivided into unitized cargoes such as pallets or packed in bags or boxes. So just like in the illustration. And next is bulk. Diba, if like in other, if now we understand bulk, something like kanang pack and like bulto ba, like daghan, but in this it refers to liquid or dry goods shipped in bulk, not packed or bundled in separate units. So it is more detailed, include commodities that are loose or in mass and require to be pumped, shoveled, scooped, grabbed, or forked during loading or unloading. So as you can see from the picture, it is fork. For, I don't know if it is for loading or unloading, but it is really forked in there. It is mentioned in section 4, 15 and 16 of this manual. So cargo manifest. It is a declaration of the entire cargo, the object of which is to furnish the customs officers with a list to check against to inform or revenue officers what goods are being brought into the country and to provide a safeguard against goods being brought into this country on a vessel and then smuggled ashore. In maritime law, it is a record or statement in writing carried by a vessel containing information with respect to the vessel's cargo, passengers, and other matters required by statute or regulation. It is mentioned in section 14, 15, 17, and 18 in this manual. So the next one is carrier. So carrier basically means the person actually transporting goods or in charge or the responsible one for the operation of the means of the transport. It is mentioned in section 5, 8, 11, 14, 15, and 16 in this manual. So customs clearance. So what is a customs clearance? It just means that this is the accomplishment of the customs formalities necessary to allow goods to enter for home use, warehousing, transit or transshipment, or to be exported or placed under another customs procedure. It is mentioned in section 16 and 31 of this manual. Next is the cost-wise ports, are such domestic ports as are open to cost-wise trade only. These include all ports, harbors, and places not ports of entry. It is mentioned in section 17 of this manual. Next is container freight station. So what is a container freight station? As you can see from the picture, on the picture, there's a lot of containers there. So it is just like a station for those 20-foot containers or other containers. So it means normally a warehouse or a transit shed adjacent to the container yard used for sorting and storage of container cargo both for import and export. It is mentioned in sections 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 17, and 19 of this manual. Next is containerized cargo. So cargo stuffed inside a container van with the external dimensions and ratings enumerated in Series 1 of ISO 668 of 1978, which are specially designated to facilitate ready handling, particularly their transfer from one mode of transport to another without intermediate reloading. So it is mentioned in section 15, 16, and 18 of this manual. Next is the devanning. So it refers to the transfer of cargo from one container to another container. Like for example, this is the container and you will balhin something from here to the another 20-foot container. That is what you call devanning. It is mentioned in section 8 and 41 of this manual. Next is the discharge port survey. So it is a report issued by an accredited cargo surveying company or ACSC for breakbulk cargo after the conduct of a survey at the port of discharge. It is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Next is the dry dock. I don't have an image here because I'm not quite sure if what I will put in here, and there was none. So let me just say something about this. So it means a dock from which the water can be temporarily excluded in order to effect repairs, hulls, and keels of ship or vessels. So it is mentioned in part 4, that section D of this manual. In cargo. So in cargo, entrusted shipment of merchandise or articles from abroad, mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Hatch. A hatch is an opening in ship's deck through which cargo can be lowered. It is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Next is the less container load. It is a container loaded with cargoes belonging to more than one consignee and or covered by more than one bill of lading. It is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Next is the load port survey. So it is a report issued by an accredited cargo surveying company, ACSC, for bulk, breakbulk, and this is imported into the Philippines. The report shall be submitted to the Bureau of Customs directly from the ACSC in a secure electronic format. It is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Next is the moor. means to secure a vessel alongside the berth by means of mooring rocker. It is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Next is non-vessel operating common carrier, or also known as NVOCC. It basically means a person, including an international freight forwarder, providing point-to-point international transport of shipments without operating or owning the means of transport or equipment. Remember, an NVOCC deals with the shipper and issues its own transport document, even though it commonly subcontracts the different stages of transport to vessel, aircraft, and truck operators. Next is the port of entry. So, port of entry is a domestic port open to both foreign and coast-wise trade. The term includes principal ports of entry and sub-ports of entry. Remember, principal port of entry is the chief port of entry of the collection district. This is mentioned in section 15 and 17 of this manual. Next is pratique. This is a permission granted by quarantine officials to a vessel or aircraft to hold intercourse with port after the ship or aircraft has complied with port regulations. So once ilan na yun ay makomplied, the quarantine officials will grant a permission. And this is mentioned in section 5 of this manual. Next is the quay. It is a landing place of pier, usually of solid construction, where vessels berth to load or unload cargo. This is mentioned in part 4, section H of this manual. Next is regular shipside permit. So this required for all cargoes which belong to the categories of regular shipside cargoes under the existing regulations. This is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Next is saloon stores. So supplies listed as such which are intended for sale on board a vessel or aircraft. This is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Next is sea stores. Articles, especially foodstuff such as food, wine, cigarettes, anything for consumption, only for passengers and crew on board the vessel or aircraft upon its voyage. This is mentioned in section 3 of this manual. Next is ship stores. This consists of spare equipment such as chains, anchors, and the likes necessary for the safe navigation of ships. So this is mentioned in section 15 and 33 of this manual. Shipside permit. So a shipside permit is the authority issued by the collector of customs or his or her authorized representative of the customs inspector assigned on a vessel to allow the discharge of cargoes specified on the permit at shipside until lighters under guard. This is mentioned in section 4 and 15 of this manual. So, special shipside permit. When cargoes do not belong to the regular shipside cargoes, the broker or consignee has to get the authority from the collector of customs prior to the processing and approval by the entry processing division. This is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Stripping. So when we say stripping, it is unloading of all goods or cargoes from a container. So when you unload something from the container, that is what you call stripping. This is mentioned in section 6, 8, and 41 of this manual. Next is the stuffing. So in stripping, you are unloading the goods, but the stuffing, you are you are filling a container with goods or cargoes. So it's like kanang baliktad. Not baliktad, but iyagi unload sa stripping, but iyagi sudlan sa stuffing. This is mentioned in section 16, 39, and 41 of this manual. So temporary shipside permit. So this is a written authority to discharge cargoes at shipside until later per order of the collector of customs. This is mentioned in section 15 of this manual. Next, transit. Transit means the customs procedure under which goods are transported under customs control from one customs officer to another, mentioned in section 8, 15, and 17 of this manual. Next is transit cargo. This article arriving at any port from another port or place noted in the carrier's manifest and destined for transit, transshipment to another local port or to a foreign port, mentioned in section 16, 17, and 18 of this manual. Next is transshipment. Means the customs procedure under which goods are transferred under customs control from the importing means of transport to the exporting means of transport within the area of one customs office, which is the office of both importation and exportation. So this is the vessel A and vessel B. They will exchange or like transfer goods from one vessel to another. That is what you call transshipment. And the vessels, this includes every sort of boat, craft, or other artificial contrivance used or capable of being used as means of transportation on water. This is the vessel, the image of the vessel. Next is, now let's proceed to the annexes of CM number 22 series of 2010. So, annexes, these are the forms and the titles. So let's proceed to the first one. The BOC OPM form number 1, general permit. So this is what the general permit looks like. BOC OPM form number 2, clearance of vessel to a foreign port. This is what it looks like. And BOC OPM form number 3, clearance of customs inspector assigned on board. And BOC OPM form number 4, inspector certification of last cargo discharge, container or bulk cargo. Next, the BOC OPM form number 5, container discharging report. Next is the BOC OPM form number 6, pier or shipside discharging report. So, BOC OPM form number 7, assignment order. Next is the BOC OPM form number 8. This is the checklist. And BOC OPM form number 9. This is the oath of entering vessel from a foreign port. Next is the BOC OPM form number 10. Oath of master to manifest in clearance for a foreign port. Next is, I can't see the form for the number 11, but BOC OPM form number 11, this is the oath of master to foreign vessel to a clearance without passengers. Next is the BOC OPM form number 12, outward foreign manifest. BOC OPM form number 13, customs inspector after operation report. Sorry for that. So BOC OPM form number 14, this is the inward foreign manifest. And the BOC OPM form number 15, record of vessel boarded. And the last one, BOC OPM form number 16, ship side permit. So as what we have noticed, in annexes, these are all forms or permit na ato ang maagian permit once we are going to be a customs. All of this are under CM number 22 series of 2010, and these are all permit and documents or report. So that is all for my report today. Thank you and keep safe.